Don't. In my dazed state, I saw the towel around Jiang Yin slip off again, revealing his well-defined chest.
Ah, Ruan,
Jiang Yin murmured my name, and as I hesitated for a moment, my legs were pinned beneath him, and when our bodies connected, I couldn't help but let out a gasp. Realizing that his hands were already roaming my body, I wanted to say something, but Jiang Yin didn't give me the chance to speak. The phone on the bedside table kept vibrating, but Jiang Yin seemed oblivious to it. He looked straight at my face, his dark eyes as deep as ink, and his chiseled features were tinged with a heavy sense of desire. I feebly draped my arm over my eyes, letting him have his way with me. When I woke up the next day, it was already past 1 p.m. The messy room, the marks on the bed, and my body, which had been ravaged, all reminded me that last night was not a dream. There was no warmth left beside me. It seemed Jiang Yin had left long ago. I lay in bed, holding my hungover head, lost in thought. It had been 8 years since I last heard that familiar R1. Hearing it again felt like a lifetime ago. When I left Zhang Yan's house, I ran into his mother and Zhengli. Zhang's mother was over 50, but well-preserved, with only a few wrinkles at the corners of her eyes betraying the passage of time. She was talking to Zhengli, who now carried herself with grace and poise, completely different from her awkward high school days. Seeing her didn't surprise me. She had been following Jiang Yin since high school, liking him for many years. When they saw me, the smiles on Zhang's mother's and Zheng Li's faces instantly froze. "What are you doing here? Who allowed you to come?" Zheng Li spoke first, followed by Zhang's mother Da. Zhang's mother's sharp and distorted voice made me want to laugh. Da. "You can ask your dear son," I said as I pulled my suitcase and pressed the elevator button. Ruan Duo. Zhang's mother struggled to maintain her composure as she stared straight into my eyes and said, "Ah Yin is getting married to Zhengli in a week. You promised not to appear before him again. You should know your current situation." Knowing their wedding date, my heart trembled a little, but I kept a calm expression. Zhengli, on the other hand, looked at me uneasily. She had indeed changed a lot compared to before. "If you're here to offer your blessings, you're welcome. But if it's for something else, then—" Zhang's mother didn't finish her sentence, but I found it amusing and subconsciously asked, "Then what? Are you going to threaten me with death like before?" "But Zhang Yin and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. Ruan Duo, you're not worthy of him," Zhang's mother said, enunciating each word. I looked her in the eye and replied, "Then tell your dear son to stop pestering me." With a ding, the elevator arrived. Zhang Yin stepped out of the elevator. He wore a tailored black suit and a white shirt, with the top buttons undone, revealing his slender neck. His figure was sharp and defined, but there was a clear hickey on his neck. Zheng Li's face instantly turned pale when she saw the ambiguous mark. "We're all adults. Who wouldn't know what that means?" "Ah Yin." Jiang Yin didn't even spare her a glance. He calmly walked over to me, looking at me and my suitcase. Tears welled up in Zheng Li's eyes. As Jiang Yin stood before me, my heart pounded. Unlike the vague memories of last night, today he stood before me, his eyes dark as ink, filled with a brewing storm that could erupt at any moment. I looked away first, pretending to be indifferent, with a faint smile as I spoke, "You're back just in time. Explain to your mother how I got here." Without hesitation, Jiang Yin said, "I brought you here. I took advantage of your drunken state last night and dragged you back." His words left me stunned. His words shattered the calm demeanor that Zhang's mother had struggled to maintain, and she shouted, "Jiang Yin." Hearing her high-pitched voice, I subconsciously frowned, but the instigator acted as if he didn't hear Zhang's mother's outburst. He even wrapped his arm around my waist in front of her, gently rubbing the spot where he had forcefully squeezed last night, pressing it from time to time. I almost couldn't hold back. Zhang's mother, seeing his actions, raised her voice, now sharp, and said, "You're getting married to Zheng Li soon." Mm. But Jiang Yin only gave a light hum, not even enough to be considered perfunctory. He didn't care what Zhang's mother was saying, nor did he pay any attention to the anticipation and hurt in Zheng Li's eyes. Zhang's mother trembled slightly as she looked at her son, who had long slipped out of her control. She pointed at Jiang Yan's chest, her voice hoarse as she said, "Are you insane?" Jiang Yan merely looked at her calmly and said, "You should go." Hearing this, Zhang's mother staggered, her manicured nails digging into her palms. She looked at her son, who had slipped out of her grasp, and found herself unable to utter any harsh words. In the end, she could only say, "Jiang Yin, you will regret this?" Jiang Yin dragged my suitcase back into the bedroom, taking away the elevator card I had taken. Without a word, he took off his jacket after returning and tossed it to me. I instinctively caught it and placed it on the sofa. His shirt sleeves were rolled up to his elbows, revealing strong and toned arms. I noticed he had quite a few scars on his arms. I didn't ask, just sat on the sofa and asked him, "Why? Isn't it nice to stay here?" He knelt down in front of me, burying his head in the crook of my neck. The familiar scent of cold pine wafted over, and I held my breath, then chuckled lightly. In what capacity? An old lover? Or a mistress? Arwan, don't talk to me like that, or I won't be able to control myself. Jiang Yin lifted his head, his cold face inches from mine. His hand moved from my waist to my cheek, inch by inch, his deep eyes filled with emotions I couldn't decipher, but I sensed a hint of danger. I tried to push him away, but to no avail. It seemed he had been working out, and my body, which I'd neglected, was no match for him. This attempt to push him away seemed to provoke him. He suddenly kissed me, and the taste of blood spread in my mouth. He stared at me intensely, as if he wanted to swallow me whole. "Don't leave me. Don't go anywhere. Okay? Arwan, turn back and look at me." His words faded as our lips met again. The room's temperature kept rising, and I suddenly pushed him away with all my strength. Panting, I stood up and wiped the blood from my lips, glaring at him with a mocking smile. "Are you going to lock me up? You're getting married. You know that?" I taunted him. "There won't be a wedding," he said calmly. I was a bit surprised, but it had nothing to do with me. I thought this and said it aloud. "It's none of my business." After saying that, I noticed Jiang Yan's breathing becoming heavier. I ignored him, picked up my phone to call a friend to pick me up, but before I could react, he grabbed my phone and then picked me up entirely. Like a parent holding a baby. "Jiang Yan, what are you doing?" I struggled. Jiang Yan remained silent. Despite my fists landing on his shoulders, even his face, he steadily carried me into the bedroom and kicked the door shut. The world spun around me. And then it was Jiang Yan's face. He pressed me down on the bed, his lips forming a tight line, his dark eyes tinged with red. "Jiang Yan, let go of me." My resistance was futile. My frail body was no match for his. "Arwan, don't go." He pressed me down with all his might, pinning my arms and legs. I couldn't move. I thought I wouldn't be able to escape again and resigned myself to it, closing my eyes. But in the end, Jiang Yin just held me in his arms. He didn't do anything. When I woke up again, Jiang Yin was still asleep. I slipped past him into the bathroom and answered the phone. "Ruan's boy, you finally came back, huh? I heard you snagged yourself a sugar daddy. So when are you going to pay me back what you owe?" A man's voice slithered through the phone like a slimy snake. I hid in the bathroom, listening to his words, feeling a coldness deep in my heart. "Brother Shin, didn't I pay back part of it last month?" "That little bit isn't even enough to fill the gap between my teeth," the other man sneered. I heard the sound of a lighter, followed by the slow drawl of the man on the other end. "I heard you're pretty close with the CEO of Jiang Corporation?" "Brother Shin, where did you hear that? How could I know someone like that?" I frowned, ignoring the growing unease.